Hey man, how you doing today?
Hey man, how you doing today?
I am doing good because we're gonna get to talk to somebody cool today. So that'll be fun. Want to have some fun?
I always want to have fun.
All right, let's do it.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey, everybody. I really appreciate you all being here. That over there, the one, the only, Mr. Anthony Melchiori back in his home studio. I'm Glenn Hausman. I am not at the Even Hotel Midtown East, where producer Dave is working out of. We got that up because we're going to have a fun conversation about IHG and revenue management and all that kind of good stuff, Anthony. How you feeling today, brother?
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
Somebody actually hired Dave, and they don't really know. He doesn't know what he's doing. And it's amazing because he's not really good at his job. Oh, I forgot. I think his boss's boss is on the show today.
Yes. So let's change our tack. Dave is the best employee ever.
Hold on, let me read the note he sent me. Dave is great. Dave knows everything. Dave should take over our show. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah.
It was an awful lot like a hostage situation right about now.
All right. What's up in my brother Houseman's life?
I'll tell you what's up, Anthony. Our friends over at Ecotech have changed the name of their Eco bin to the Tellurian. How cool is that? Right now, not only do they have this great black one, but they've got white waste baskets too. And they've even introduced new sizes and have a great starter kit that comes with 5 waste baskets, 10 liners, and they've got a spring cleaning sale right now in honor of Earth Day, which happens to be tomorrow. Now, you guys, you're starting to book those events that are going to be coming up in the fall. How great would this be to just dispose of this? Much easier to do than emptying out baskets and going through all of that rigmarole and all of that kind of stuff. Plus, it'll make your team a little bit happier.
What is it called? What's the new name for it?
Tellurian. Let me see how you spell that. I got to look that up. Tellurian. Sounds futuristic and sweet.
Did you change the Tellurium today?
I'm still using my classic one, but tomorrow I'm going to use a new one. So not to get off on politics. Can I get off on politics for 1 second? Sure, because that's always great for ratings.
Yeah, thank God yesterday, huh?
Mm-hmm.
There was a guilty verdict. Listen, yes. I'm all about the police, but that gentleman deserved that guilty verdict, and thank God.
That gentleman, I wouldn't call him a gentleman. The person who was convicted of murder was not representative of what we hope police officers should be.
And George Floyd's family, thank God that it was guilty. But I tell you, it was palpable. The fear of that not going, because I mean, if you saw the video, I mean, this is America, so you need a jury, and you need a trial. But if you saw that video, there's not much there that you could, you prove is innocent. What I found fascinating is the report he wrote before the video came out on what his interpretation of the results were of the arrest. Anyway, not to get off of that, I'm just glad that it went the way it went, and I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. And as you know, we got a big benchmark here of diversity and inclusion, something we might be talking about a little bit later. But yes, Colleen, congratulations getting your first shot today. I know how needles are real stinky bedinky, but good to see that you are getting there. I got shot next week.
I got an idea. Oh, congratulations. I got an idea. Suzanne and David, if you're listening, let's take all of our regular listeners, not maybe all of them, but maybe we'll do in 2 groups. Colleen being, top of the list, and then everybody else. And then we do a show with 3 or 4 people about what they thought the show, how the show helped them through the last year of the pandemic, and get them on the show if they want to be on the show. I think that would be fascinating.
Yeah, I love that idea. That'll be really great. You know what else I like, Anthony? I like the fact that we're going to be able to give Dave a hard time because of our great guest today, and we're talking about Cesar Wurm over there. Cesar, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. And for those of you who don't know him, he's a VP Commercial and Revenue Management with IHG. Cesar, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I'm a fan. So, really happy to be here today. Enjoy watching the show. Thanks for the opportunity, and hopefully can be a good one. So,
I hope so too, but the jury's still out on that one, Cesar. We'll see what happens. I'm sure you're going to be great, but we'll see how Anthony and I do today. Anthony, what are you doing? Looking through a peephole or something?
No, I actually took a picture of him and sent it to Tim to show him I'm on with a big shot at IHG. Glenn's heard this story many times, so I won't tell it again. But
you can for the audience's benefit. It's always great.
Well, I got thrown out of IHG headquarters once. And you can ask anybody that's been there for more than 10 years, and they'll tell you the story. But yeah, I was asked to leave. But then the good news is, a couple of years later, when I developed an IHG product for them, I was embraced with open arms. But yeah, I said something in a meeting that offended the then president of the company, and I was very polite. I just asked him a question, and he didn't like my question, so he ended the meeting, and I wasn't allowed to come back until I had proper adult supervision, which was the owner of the hotel. So I had to come back 2 weeks later with adult supervision, and we still didn't get what we wanted. And unfortunately, we couldn't do work with IHG after that, and we went with another brand. But I love IHG. Why did I just get? Why am I stuck?
I don't know, but that's a great expression to see you having right up. Oh, now he's gone.
He's gone.
Cesar,
we kicked him out again.
I told you that there was a risk of this not being a very good show, and now he's completely dropped off. He'll be back. All right, so Cesar, of course, you're focused on revenue management, and producer Dave has been fortunate enough to get a job at what we hope will be a resurgent New York. Give us a big picture right now about what you're seeing in terms of revenue generation, and then we'll start to drill down a little bit. But a little warning to everybody out there, when we're talking everything overarching, it probably won't be applicable specifically to what you're seeing in your neck of the woods. Cesar, take it away, sir. Correct.
Thanks, Glenn. Yeah. So, yeah, from a high level, right, it's certainly encouraging right now what we're seeing. As you know, and we've been seeing for the last year or so, it's been pretty challenging, right, for the industry. And we're moving now, my point of view, from survival, right, to starting to thrive and really having the ability, specifically related from a commercial, right, sales and marketing, as well as revenue management, to really doing what these roles do it, right, versus just kind of trying to put heads in beds and minimize the impact of the downturn, really into seeing the signs of recovery, which now is in a sustainable way, right? I mean, people are getting vaccinated. People are doing a lot of leisure travel, as you probably know. I mean, leisure destinations are just on fire.
What we're talking about every day over here. The last 6 days are, it's we're feeling a palpable difference. Yeah. All of our wonderful guests that come on are saying that they feel a difference, not just how they're feeling, but they're starting to see it in the numbers, which brings us back to the thing.
Yes, and the good thing, right, we're seeing not only hotels, but of course airlines, right, is a great correlation there. And you're seeing where there is high, leisure demand, those markets may be performing actually up to 2019 levels, which is fantastic. And then, of course, the more urban, the more international reliance you have on those destinations, that's still a little bit, right, impacted, and will remain until business travel truly start to recover in bulk. And as well, of course, meetings and events return more likely right into next year. We're seeing some, sub-segments of that happening, and right, some segments are taking place, some meetings are happening, but by and large, right, corporate travel and groups and meetings is still a little bit far behind from, versus what we're seeing in leisure. So it's promising. It's far from where we should be and want to be, but it's sustainable improvement.
So really what we're talking about here, Cesar, is you have to have an ongoing strategy that's flexible, right? You need to figure out how to maximize business right now when it comes to the leisure category, and then kind of transition to other areas as well. Anthony, thanks for joining us. I'm sorry you dropped off there, but the folks at IHG said that they've had enough of you.
Well, yeah, they've made that clear over the years. Honestly, I shouldn't say this, but it's my favorite company. I mean, I love working with them. And Drew Pearson, who has passed away, unfortunately, worked there for a long time, and what a great guy. And just up and down, everybody's great.
I just got an email from everybody at Hilton and Choice and some of the other companies just said they're never coming on the show again. Damn it.
I'm sure they will.
No, they will. It's all right. Honestly, we love all the brands. We have a little bit of a thing. It's kind of like whatever hotel I was at last is my favorite of all time, because there are so many great industry professionals out there doing such a great job. But Anthony, Cesar was just about to tell us a little bit about his strategy and how you're focusing on leisure now, and they're thinking about transitioning to other groups of other categories, I should say, to be less confusing. Anthony, we don't hear you at all.
You don't hear me?
Oh, now we do.
One of the things I'm very interested in is once you get into the leisure segment, especially leisure during the week, you got to go to the third parties. And I would imagine your third party expense is going up, no matter how bad you don't want it to go up. How do you handle that? Because one of the things that you don't want to be as a revenue manager, I don't mean you, but I mean the hotels, is you don't want to be the guy just opening up the third party channels, because then the guy's like, well, I can do that.
Sure.
So how do you offset that?
Yeah, great question and topic, right? So a couple of things, right? And that's the beauty of revenue management, right? So we got to look at what demand is available, right? And then to your point, how we can optimize and capture in the least expensive way that business, right? So to your point, Anthony, of course, direct is by far, right, the cheapest way to acquire business. But as you said, right, OTA has led the recovery, so far from a demand perspective. And, you're alluding to the other brands, right? They're a good partner, important partner for us, right? But of course, we want to lower cost of acquisition and drive healthy bottom lines. So to your point, to answer specifically what we do, we optimize whatever we can from a channel perspective, right? And let's say the business we're getting from third-party partners, for example, OTA, then we have specific campaigns and or actions directed, into turning those into IHG loyal customers, right? So IHG rewards, same thing go for any other brands, right? And then, of course, on property, they can play a very big role, right, into the engagement with guests, right? As they're checking in, explain the value, the value proposition, the benefits, and really convert that into direct customers, and also find ways to have them return through a different channel.
Yeah, Anthony.
Glenn, there's going to be a test on that.
No, all the words independently I understood, but when they were strung together in a series of sentences, that's where I started to get a little bit confused.
So let me make it clear for you what he said.
Thank you. Thank you.
The third parties spend a lot of money on marketing, and we got to work with them or we're screwed. That's what he said.
No, that's absolutely right. And as I've always contended over the years, you can't have a horrible attitude towards them, whether you like it or not. They are a partner, even if you're reluctant about it. But they can be valuable as one of your arrows in your quiver of different opportunities that are out there.
And that's why I asked the question, and we all struggle with this. This is what happens. When you have a revenue manager, the last thing a revenue manager wants to do is open third parties to sell third party business, because he knows he's going to be in a meeting at the end of the month. The general manager is going to show him the expense report and say, hey, we're spending X amount of percentage or X amount of dollars on third parties. Why aren't we getting more direct business? What are you doing to market direct business? Why are we getting it through these channels? Why are our rates lower? And so right now, it is a very, 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 very difficult time to be a revenue manager.
Yeah, it's not easy, right? And when you drop off, we're talking a little bit about the positive trends we're seeing, right, Anthony? And now we're having a little bit more of the ability from really not only focusing on capture what's out there, but be able now to segment and see what business is profitable and makes sense, right? And of course, every market is in a different stage. There's some markets that's still very subdued, but there's some that are very healthy, right? And going to 2019 levels. So the strategies from those and the ability to influence, right, it varies. But to your point, right, I mean, we use a variety of partners, but of course, at the end of the day, our goal and job as a company is to deliver the best possible experience for everyone, right? Owners, customers, our associates, guests on the lower possible cost, right? The biggest value. for our partners.
And you may have answered this, but where is business travel? I mean, is it is it coming up a little bit? Like, where are we?
Yeah, so good question. So I will give you a two-part answer. In the broad terms, still, down, right? Significantly still, meaning we're not seeing the traditional, business traveler traveling. With that said, there has been segments throughout, right, the pandemic that continue to travel. For example, you had extended stay, construction crews, logistics, and some segments that, really, didn't miss a bit. And now we're seeing small pockets of, other people start to traveling, right? I mean, for example, Google and Amazon, right, just announced that they're going to be opening their offices in the fall. Google, I think, opened their offices for, ad hoc, at will attendance. So that is going to start triggering, right, some of revival from that perspective. So
also anecdotally, I'm hearing consultants are starting to get back on the road, and there is some more action happening out there.
Every week, as you see more, it's exciting. You start looking at the reports and start seeing more and more company names, right? Seeing on the travel, and that's exciting. It's just going to continue to improve.
Anthony, before you say something, I got a quick show note. Colleen is saying she wishes she could read the comments at the top without closed captioning. Colleen, on Facebook, if you hover over the image of the show, you'll see the little rotary wheel. Click on that, and it'll allow you to turn off closed captioning. Sorry, please continue, Anthony.
No, thank you. Always got to help out Colleen. There's a feeling, and I don't know if you're seeing it with your competitors or your people that you know in other companies. There seems to be, and the word desperation probably is the wrong word, but there seems to be a desperation not only to get out of your house and travel, but also to make up what you lost, whether your commissions from last year, whether your business's bottom line. There seems to be a real, like, kind of rebirth of just not, again, passion's probably the wrong word, but just like desperation. Like we just need this to end, and I'm going to compete, and I'm going to put, my competitor out of business, and I'm going to get that promotion, and I'm going to make the money that I spent last year. So I really think once it starts, I think it's going to be quicker than people are anticipating.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Cesar. I'd be curious to hear what you say, because we talk a lot about these things that we as human beings, particularly in the hotel business, we think whatever the state of affairs is today is the way it's always going to be, and we've been contending that business travel will have to come back because you need to compete. Capitalism, blah blah blah. How do you see it?
Yeah, absolutely right, and I think there's a couple of points there. One, I mean, travel is going to return, right? People have to, this is great, right? But it's much better when we do this in person, right? Have that interaction, and that is necessary to really develop business, and really, to your point, Anthony, gain share, right? And really outperform. Another thing that in a way has been positive throughout the last year is that, to the restrictions, a lot of people as well as companies, depending on their segment, they're able to save a lot of cash. So they have money to go spend now, and to your point, really deploy against their goals, their targets, and contribute to their company growth and profit bottom line, right? And travel plays a very important role of that. And then lastly, I would say for the doubters out there that says, hey, BT will never return, or is going to be whatever, 50%, even for the people that will work remotely still, right? Then those people have the flexibility to pick and say, listen, today I'm going to fly to LA and work a week out of there, right, from a hotel. So it's still going to evolve and change, but we'll come back.
So let's talk about that for just a minute. Maybe a strategic approach to that. Before the COVID crisis, Cesar, there was the whole notion of the digital nomad. They were rising. And for those of you who don't know, the digital nomad is kind of like what we're seeing today. People that could work wherever they want around the globe. With a higher emphasis on technology, we've really started to become untethered from the workplace. And COVID has proved that you can be successful in a lot of circumstances outside the office. So when you see a trend that was in the market already and you see it increasing, how do you go out now and start to attract those particular individuals in that category that could really help buffet your business and create great income for your hotels.
Yeah, great point, right? And I think that's keep an eye on trends, right? And being close to customers and knowing what they want, what they're looking for. And then more importantly, how do you go about and connect with them, right? So having a good digital presence is key, right? To be able to reach with the right message, but more importantly, be able to convert that in a way that they want to engage with you, and also on a value proposition that makes sense to them. And to your point, right? I think even us here internally, right? There's going to be some travels that I will not do anymore, right? Perhaps for that 2-hour meeting, but that's going to evolve into something different, right? So there's going to also still continue to evolve, and we just got to make sure that we're on top of the trends and how it's going to evolve throughout these next months and years.
And I hate to say it, it's pretty efficient. I mean, I've got myself into a situation where I'm working more than ever because this is a really efficient way of working. And I'm able to do a lot of things because of this way that we work now. And I think also one of the things that has been proven is that people are efficient when they're working from home.
Right.
Because you have to show up for the meeting, you have to present yourself, and you have to pay attention. And the dog can't be barking, the kids can't be crawling on your lap, and you got to pay attention. But when you're done, you can take off your suit and tie, throw on your sweatpants, and go for a jog. Or you can go to lunch with your wife, or you can go sit by the pool for 20 minutes and then have another couple of meetings and then do the same thing. And I think people were afraid, and I'll be the first one to admit, growing up in this industry, I never thought that would work. And now I'm seeing that, people work, people getting burnt out, people work a lot. And it seems that a lot of people are efficient from working from home. So I think the myth or the fear, I think, has been diminished.
Anthony, I agree with you 100%, except for the fact that people will put on sweatpants after the Zoom call. I'm wearing mine right now, so I don't know what you're talking about with that.
Okay, hold on. You know what? I'm wearing my sweatpants too.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to report to everybody, big news today. We had a breakthrough over here at the Houseman House. I'm actually wearing real shoes today instead of Crocs, Cesar, because I'm going to a conference in a couple of weeks, and I bought some new shoes, and I'm testing them out.
Gotta get used to it.
I know. I'm not used to actual footwear anymore. But Anthony,
all the people at HG that are watching today, they're like fascinated. They're like, thank God I'm watching the show today because I get to learn about Glenn's shoes.
First of all, that hurts. And second of all, you're wrong because people are fascinated by my sartorial choices. Cesar, I'm not going to ask you about my footwear, but you are thinking about how to attract groups. And one of the new groups that might emerge are those corporate meetings that weren't necessary before because everybody was working in the office. Now that people are displaced, now that people have the flexibility to work more remotely, do you feel there's going to be opportunities to be able to market existing meeting space that might be underused to those folks that maybe will meet once a month instead of coming into the office every day?
Yeah, great point. And actually, we do currently, right, offer what we call hybrid meetings. So to your point, right, we have the ability where people now are doing more regionalized meetings in small pockets. So they cut a little bit of the expenses from a travel perspective, but they still meet, right, from small groups and have the ability to interact with each other. So we do have the technology that, has been asked from our clients. But then also, right, to your point, you have the ability, I think, to, attract that type and also have the ability to do more what's so-called leisure business, right? That was already kind of a little bit in the rise before that. But to your point, even for companies that are going back to the traditional office, there may be a very big number of companies that will do a hybrid approach to work, right? Or you do a couple of days at home, a couple of days in the office. So you expand the ability, right, when people travel to meet a client or for a meeting, to then extend that into a vacation without having to take time off necessarily and really kind of, contribute to more travel from that end.
So let's do a question, an operation question. You oversee the revenue for hire for IHG?
No, that's I have a counterpart here. I have a small piece from the management side, from the company manager.
Answer this question. Because revenue hire, basically, if I have a franchise agreement with you and I want for you to do my revenue management, I pay you a relatively small fee, and you help us with revenue management. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct.
So with now, that's a pretty highly skilled job. Are you guys having problems recruiting for that position now because of the last year? I'm sure you had to furlough a lot of people, and that's the most critical job, I think, for if you have a franchise agreement, somebody wants revenue for hire, that's a pretty important role. So what are the challenges behind that?
Yeah. So I agree, right? And I think, to your point, having a good revenue manager or management support, as you well know, makes a big difference to the bottom line, right? You can sometimes people choose not to have someone and they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly millions, depending on the size and all that. So to your point, Anthony, we were fortunate enough to we had a furlough period here for a couple of months at corporate office, but we're able to retain the majority, right, of the team members and keep them busy, right? I mean, our owners were great partners from that perspective, where we contributed with some relief fees. We understand their financial position and want to protect that. And then also, right, I think that proving to your point that we have highly skilled, revenue managers that are taking care of their assets, it's easy to see the value proposition, right, and continue to support those with a fee service.
Yeah, that's great. So I think Anthony's question was really about how quickly can we get Dave promoted a couple of levels.
Well, let's wait for the probation.
Oh yeah, he's only been there a couple of weeks. Anthony, your lips are pursed. You want to say something?
Let me say something really nice about Dave. In all seriousness, there's nothing nice to say. Go ahead, keep going.
All right. So Dave is laughing hysterically backstage over there. He almost fell off his chair. That's great. All right. So Cesar, what about people's desire to pay more for hotels? Obviously, people think that now's a great bargain time out there, and they're finding that that's not necessarily the truth.
No.
How are you balancing what their expectations are with the reality that the demand is actually there in a lot of locations to keep pushing up those rates?
Yeah, great point, right? And actually, to the contrary, right, you're seeing some markets driving really high rates. But I think it comes down to the value proposition, right? We got to make sure that, yes, there is demand. The rates, of course, are going to increase, but we got to make sure that no matter what the rate is, if it's $100 or $500, that we're still providing, of course, a great service, but more important, that the client is feeling, okay, I'm getting at least that amount worth, in my point of view, right? Through service, through care, through amenity service. And I think at times that's tough, right? Same thing when you go buy a house and you relocate from, a cheap housing area to Miami, you're going to have a price sticker shock, and I think you're right. I mean, we got to educate people that, listen, just because we had a tough year doesn't mean that everywhere you go you're going to get a great deal from your point of view necessarily.
Wow, look at that. Fiorella Astor says 20% plus up in ADR in South Florida since.
Yeah. And
I just got a star report on the property we're looking at, and oh my God, I'll just say, oh my God. But I want to say something that I can say. One of the reasons, I love the position that I sit in, is I can say whatever I want, right? So this is the truth. This is how I see the business. My job is to deliver value. So when you go home, you say, wow, I will never stay anywhere else. Did I get every opportunity to have the vacation I want? Now, sometimes you say that was an incredible vacation, but it was expensive. And then sometimes you go, that was an incredible vacation and there was good value there. And sometimes you say, that was a great vacation and I got a great deal. If you're a real hotel operator and a real hotelier, you have to be able to perform at, wow, that was a great hotel, but it was a little bit expensive. Because what I'm saying is, our job to the owners and to the bankers is to repay back the loan, right? So our job is to take every penny that you have budgeted for a vacation and make you spend it. And make sure when you go home, you feel good about that, because nobody goes on vacation and puts $200 in their pocket and wants to come home with 100. Because you didn't have the fun. My job is to take your budget for vacation, take all that money. Okay. But when you go home, you're like, wow, that was the best money I ever spent. So we don't really look at it as like, oh, well, we're pricing our hotel a little bit too expensively. We don't look at it that way. We look at our competition, how many rooms we have left, how much can we get for that room, and we're going to sell that room for as much as we can get, and that's just it. So guests that say that's not fair, people that say, Anthony, that's wrong. No, that's called capitalism. That's called business. Where people get into problems, where companies get into problems, and hoteliers get into problems, and general managers get into problems, when they forgot how hard people work for that dollar.
Right.
They don't value that person's dollar. Okay, I'll give you your money back before I take a penny that I don't deserve. But if you're coming to South Florida in a busy area, you're paying a lot of money, and that's just the way it is. But I'm going to give you value. There I say.
Yeah. Couldn't have said better. I think you're spot on. Right, price becomes very important, or the value is not there. Right, to your point, if the value is there, you can justify the price, like, what, I paid, but it was worth it, right? It was a wow experience, and I'll do it again.
Right, and even if it was a little bit more than you're used to spending, and you're like, I'm going to Vegas. I really can't afford to spend X amount of dollars for Vegas, but I want to go. And then you have a good vacation. You're still going to come home and go, wow, that was expensive. I may not do that next year because I really can't afford that, but wow, that was a vacation I wanted. And that's all you can ask for. But I am so tired of people saying, it's so expensive. The airline's too expensive. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But then pick a day where we're making no money. The hotel's making no money. It's 5% occupancy, and we're still paying all our bills. And we'll give you a room for $99. Pick that day to go. You're going to get the same value, but don't pick when all the kids are out of school, because you're going to pay a lot of money. It is.
I know. That's why I can't wait for my kids to actually graduate high school so I could take them on vacation at down periods over there. Cesar, let me ask you a question. For people that don't really understand how the nuances of all of this stuff work, when you take over a property and you're going to be in charge of revenue management, how do you figure out what categories of business you should really be looking for and how to price each category accordingly? Now, again, for everybody out there, it'll be different. This will just give us a random example of any particular property that you might think of.
Yeah, great question. So I think, one, you got to really understand the market, right? So every market's different, as you said. So you got to understand seasonality, what's the demand that's going there, why it's going there. Is it leisure? Is it business? Also understand the competitive landscape, right? And then if it's an existing hotel, not a new build, you're going to likely have, very good data, right? Historical data. So that also help you understand from that perspective. Thankfully now as well, we have a lot of tools that provide us forward-looking data, right? So I think you got to really take all that into account. And to your point, then have, each hotel, we have our own financial goals, right? Your own KPIs, what you want to achieve, your profit path, basically. And then you're going to see, okay, we got to achieve X, to your point, based on the market, based on the hotel type, our inventory, the business mix we can have with certain amount of meeting space and all that. What's the optimal mix that we can get, right? Meaning how much transient, how much group we can have. And then also from what channel you're going to get that, right? So to Anthony's questions early, is like, okay, can you get a more direct business than you have historically? Or what can you do to drive more direct business, right? So you have more profitable. So that's really the way you look at that. And then you got to be looking eagle eyes, every day you got to see, how is that panning out to your goal, and, and tweak as you go, right? You got to, if you're going to fail quickly and adjust and move on.
So let me ask a quick follow-up there, Anthony. So do you work with, you're just trying to find the right mix, or do you have a profit or revenue goal in mind and then work backwards with X% is allocated to each category and we need to do, such and such dollars?
Yeah, well, I've seen done in both ways, to be honest. I think that, a lot, like Anthony said, what happens is by the time you get into the deal, there's already an expected ROI return and NOI, the bottom line. So then you know the number you gotta hit. So that helps to know what top line we need to achieve, right? But then also you gotta balance that out with the market, right? Is that still the case? Is still reasonable? Is still doable? Or can you all even outperform, right? And then how you're gonna deliver that?
Yeah, it's revenue management is very complicated, and that's why you need a person that's highly skilled to do it. And you have a budget. In October we start looking at our budgets. We put a budget together, and then I've always been a person that's always been very direct about my budgets. If the owner doesn't like it, okay, I'll look at it. But unless you give me a reason why I can't make these numbers good or bad, I'm sticking with my budget, and you can fire me if you don't like it. Because too many people in my position over the years come to April and May and June and go, oh, wow,
yeah,
we can't make our budget. So now they put all kinds of crappy business on just to start making their budget. And then they start telling the owner, we may need a cash call. But the dirtiest word in the English language, dirtiest words are cash call. You don't want a cash call. So I am going to tell you what to plan for, right? Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. So the answer to go back to my point is you put the market segments together, you put the budget together in October, but the market's going to tell you what's going to happen. Yeah. So you start seeing business because the stock market goes down, all of a sudden business starts to go down, and then you have to fill up the leisure. That leisure comes with an expense. So now you've got to really look at your expenses in your departments, and now you got to put pressure on your food and beverage director, your rooms division manager. Yeah. So it's very complicated process. So yes, we would love to have everything come in the way we plan for it.
Right.
That never happens, ever.
Right.
Yeah. And, and just one quick point. So this year is a great example, right? No one knew how to project this year, right? No one basically, still we don't know, right? How is the next 3-6 months going to pan out necessarily versus when you're in a stabilized market. But with that said, right, we make the best assumptions we can when we build the budget with whatever data is available. But then, right, to Anthony's point, we know how we're performing today to our competitors, to market. So that means despite if the market's performing better or worse than assumptions we had, at the end of the day, are we crushing the set or not, right? If we are, then we're doing our job. If not, we got to step it up.
And that is so important. That is critical. That is everything. You can be 2%, but if your comp set's 1%, you win. Okay, and everybody's going to want to know how you did that. Right. You're still losing money, but you're winning, and that is the really kind of the mark of a good brand or a good revenue manager. Are you outperforming your set? Period. End of story. Because you can only get what you can get. If there's only 10 people staying in New York City tonight, are you getting more people staying in your hotel?
Right. Makes sense. All right. We got a statement from Mark Briskin over here. He says rate integrity has been lost, and rarely do sales or revenue teams really appreciate what a room is worth. And true point in that is they can negotiate down from that. So regardless of rate, guests can appreciate the level of staff and service to expect. Do you guys feel rate integrity has been lost, or any of this? Does this make sense to you guys?
So my point of view, if I understand the point correctly, I mean, did rate go down? Right, yeah, it did go down, right? If you look at early April, the U.S., we're down about 20%, right? Versus 2019. I think what we got to be conscious about is, to ensure that we are driving as much of a high rate as possible. And how you do that is with all the value proposition. So I think there's always, got to be top of mind of how much more rate we can drive, right? Limiting discounts, limiting getting more profitable business, and also delivering, the value based on the market or the category. So I think there is always a challenge. There's always, the argument, hey, we need more rate. And yes, there's always opportunity. But I would hope that, all my counterparts and revenue and commercial professionals, really push as much rate as we possibly can.
The more competition and the better revenue managers you have in your comp set, the better your hotel will perform.
Yeah.
So, but let me talk about rate integrity. Rate integrity is like, it's like saying what's a rack card or what's a rack rate. Back in the day, those don't really exist anymore.
Except on the back of doors of hotel rooms.
Right. Well, requirement. But what a rate integrity is, what do you think you can get for that room tonight and get it? That's rate integrity. So tonight, if I can get $1,000 and my comp said I got 1,000, but I got 900, that rate integrity was compromised because you're incompetent. If you got $100 and you can only get $100 and you won, then your rate integrity is in place. So to me, that old definition of rate integrity is you put a rack rate out there in January and go, in January, February, March, this is the rate. In April, May, June, this is the rate. That's rate integrity. That doesn't work. That's not how hotels are managing or manage anymore. That because we have yield management and it's a lot more complicated. It's dynamic pricing. So that to me is kind of an overused word that's kind of outdated in my opinion. Everybody can disagree with me.
What do you think, Cesar?
Yeah, I think that one good thing is that we have a lot of data to give us the best guess, right, on what we think that rate integrity is, to Anthony's point. Right. And then the market's gonna either support that decision or is gonna tell us otherwise, right? Either, hey, we're leaving money on the table, or you're trying too much, right? And another thing with rate integrity has also a lot to do on how you position, to your point, Glenn, when you do your inventory, right? Room types and, early check-in, late check-out. Nowadays we have so many tools to do room type, inventory based on the offerings that we have, right? View, no view, high floor, low floor, corner room. That really adds to that ability to drive rate and not necessarily just be so fixated from, okay, are we pushing more and more retail rates? Is not always the only way to get more money.
I'll tell you a secret, Glenn. I ran a hotel in New York City, a very, very large hotel where I think I had 40 floors on it. And somebody came to me and said, we should really charge for high floors. I said, okay. So people want to view, what's the thing? So on the 10th floor, you paid $40 less than the 11th floor. So 10 feet more, you had to pay $40 more. Now, I thought that was a really good idea. So we made a lot of money. Now people can say that that's not fair, but why isn't it fair?
Why?
You have to have a cutoff point, because if you
right.
Because if you got the 43rd floor, the 40th floor, then that was worth it. But if you got the 11th floor and that was the high floor, you probably say it wasn't worth it. Again, I don't want people to misunderstand me. Rate integrity is important, but rate integrity is, imagine signing a contract with somebody, Glenn. You never meet them. You don't know what they can afford and not afford. You don't really know where they're looking. You don't know how long they're spending on looking. And you're putting a contract out there and go, I'll give you this room for this rate. Yes or no? No.
Right.
You got to pay attention to that every second of every day, or you will not be able to get your comp set. So my question before was, when your revenue managers go on vacation, right? Do your revenue managers look at the rates when they're on vacation? Yes or no? Or some do, some don't.
So to buy or while they're on vacation?
No, when they're on vacation, the revenue manager got their computer with them, and are they checking rates? Yes or no? Some of them, or some of them.
Well, if HR is listening, the answer is no, but likely yes. It's a habit.
Yeah, a good revenue manager will never allow anybody else to set the rates in their hotel, even if they have an assistant, unless that assistant is as good or better than them and they have 100% faith. I had a revenue manager that literally, you couldn't tell her when she went on vacation, that don't look at the rates. You couldn't tell her that. You just, okay, all right, thank you very much. And then she'll be sending text messages all hours of the night. It's because, especially in a market like New York, LA, before the pandemic, if you set the wrong rate in a 800-room hotel, you can lose literally in 5 minutes. And I'm not exaggerating, and you know this, but we'll teach Glenn. In 5 minutes, you can lose $1 $1 million. You can lose $500,000
Yeah.
just by having the wrong rate out, or by having the wrong channel open, or not having the right channel open. So in a market like that, you can't blink.
Right.
Very dynamic.
Very dedicated. I wonder how many people are, when they're on vacation, are checking the rates at their hotel to make sure that they still got the best value possible. I'd be curious if the revenue managers out there are doing that. Michael Weinberg asks, I'm not even sure what RevMax is. Impact of loyalty program benefits on RevMax. Normally I wouldn't post a question I don't know, but we trust Michael. Is RevMax an IHG program?
Yeah, so I guess they're talking about, meetings that we run, right, to optimize revenue, right? So it can be a daily review that some hotels do to see all the demand we're getting, discuss group opportunities. But of course, that varies a lot, right? You have a lot of technology that tells, hey, this is a great fit, just go for it. Of course, you got to trust your people to make the right decisions.
Right.
And if we don't make the right decisions, we learn and move on. And of course, every, HG has it, and every brand has, right, a lot of AI and a lot of automation from that end that gives a lot of good guidance. But at the end of the day, like Anthony said, you need that human touch to ensure that you're optimizing. For example, if you're a small hotel by the interstate, right, hail comes down, right, you gotta know you're going to sell out. People are going to stop and stay, right? A machine can't do that for you right away. So
right.
if you're not paying attention to it, so hopefully I answered the question. Not sure if I got the question right, but
I think you did, and I think that was the question. And I'll tell you, you want to beat your comps. Colleen, I never said I would negotiate rates. I'm going to put rates out, and if you take it, I'm going to raise my rates because now I have less rooms to sell, and the more I sell, the more my rates go up. That's just the way it is. And if that's how you sell out a hotel. Now, Colleen, you made me forget my train of thought. But
or theoretically not sell a hotel out because you really want to keep pushing those rates so you never actually achieve a full 100% occupancy, right?
It sells out last wins.
Right.
If you sell out last, you win. And then there's also, the extended like 3 day, 3 days. So if it's a holiday weekend, you're not going to give out Saturday night only. You have to stay Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And people are like, well, that's not fair. Well, what happens? I'm 100% on Saturday, and then Friday somebody wants to come in for 2 nights. They can't stay, and then by Friday. So then you're yield. So it is very, very complicated. It's way too complicated for you, Glenn.
Pretty much everything is way too complicated for me. I usually just speak in one syllable words to keep it simple. Cesar, do you have an opinion on that?
No, I think you're a very smart guy. I'm not sure I follow Anthony's point there, but no, I agree with his point. Yeah, I think, that's the beauty, right? You got to make sure that you're not only pushing for the high occupancy, right? You got to drive, find that fine balance. And I think every hotel has that special mix from the profit standpoint. And you got to keep an eye on your pattern stay, right? Because markets have different demands, and, you don't want to pick just one day and then you hurt, like to his point, 3-night stays, right? So you gotta, even if you get 80% occupancy but 3-night stays, you're going to be better off than selling out one night.
Hotels are expensive operations. That's it. Taxes are high, payroll's high, and a lot of times you're sitting with half-empty hotels, and you're still paying electric and real estate taxes on those half-empty hotels. And you got to get what you can get when you can get it. Now, New York City before the pandemic, you were running, historically high rates and occupancies and things like that. And there were still hotels that couldn't make the bottom line because it's just really expensive to run. And so a good revenue manager, a good general manager, really understands that. And I think nowadays, a revenue manager, a general manager, and a sales manager all have to be exceptional revenue managers.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think a sales manager and a general manager could walk into a revenue meeting and not be able. I always say my only job as a general manager is to walk into a room and ask a revenue manager who is highly competent a question that they can't answer. That's my only job, because if I'm really looking at it really thoroughly, and I have to justify my existence, right, as general manager, I have to be able to ask them a question that's going to teach them something that they haven't looked at. If I can't come in there and I'm asking dumb questions that they know the answer to, how am I making them better? So I think a general manager, sales manager have to be able to be highly competent revenue managers as well, in my opinion.
Right. I got a question for you, gentlemen. Cesar, I think we've been trying to focus more on the overall value of a particular customer of late, but it's still a little bit challenging to figure out that one particular customer, they may pay $10 or $20 less in a room, but that might open you up to hundreds of dollars in revenue on the property with if it's a resort, spas, or food and beverage, or whatever it might be, where somebody else might pay $10 more but not spend any money whatsoever. How do you think about that? How do you try to get your hotels closer to being able to achieve maximum opportunity, not just on the guest room spend, but overall property spend?
Yeah, great question. So a couple of things, right? One, if we have the direct bookings and historical data on the guests, we'll know, right, their preferences and their, how they have behaved in the past and likelihood to spend money in certain ways, right? We can also do a lot of pre-communications, pre-arrival communications, right? We can try to sell already components of that as their booking. So for example, can be a package, right? Where you have an added value, breakfast, parking, whatever the case may be. Or if they just book a single room, then you can approach them, hey, by the way, you can upgrade to this, you can buy this experience, you can add this to your in an a la carte way as they're booking. Or if you don't have that, or if you don't have that capability, then you can also do the pre-sale, right? Pre-sale email, call, whatever the case may be. So, and then of course, with technology, you have brand apps, or for example, HG Rewards as your, you checked in, right? Then you can push specific promotions for the restaurant, spa, any offers that you may have.
Whole lot of sense to me. So let me ask you this: is technology getting better? So you might be able to use AI to really start to determine, based on people's historical spend, that they're more likely to spend more, and then be able to create either packages, promotions, or just a straight up basic offer that will appeal better to them, with the hopes of earning those few extra more dollars than you would have otherwise.
Yeah, as technology evolves, right, you're spot on. That allows, much more customized interaction and offering, right, for someone that you already know what they look like, their profile, and what they're likely to buy. And then also a simple way that hotels can do, even if you're an independent hotel, right, you can just, for example, go on Google and just say, if I have a hotel in Boston, right, just Boston hotel, and then it's going to auto-populate a lot of words right under it. And these are the most searched terms related to that topic in Google. So that's going to tell you what people are looking for. And then you can cross-check with your offerings, and you can see if your digital content is properly allocated to that. And then you can drive, more meaningful interaction with customers, and at the end of the day, better revenues as well.
Say that again about Google, because most people don't realize it's that simple. Say that one more time so everybody's listening really gets what you just said.
Yeah, and my Brazilian accent probably doesn't help too. So
hey, at least you're not saying it in Portuguese, so that's
hey, by the way, Glenn, the nice hair, the beard, and the good-looking guy, like that's 2 in a row. All right.
I know. I really can't handle it. The intimidation factor is too much here on this show. Anthony, starting Monday, only unattractive guests are coming on our show.
So say that about Google one more time.
Yes. So, you just go Google page, right? And then you have a hotel in any city, any sub-market, you can just enter, right? So if I have a hotel in Boston, then I want to just see what are the most searched terms and what attractions or people are looking for. You can just say Boston hotel or hotel in Boston. And as you're typing that into the search box, it's going to auto-populate it. You don't click on search right away. It's just as you're typing, it's going to there you go. Thank you. It's going to auto-populate options,
Right.
that's going to share, with pools, right? Free parking, downtown, deals. So that way, back bay, indoor pool. So if you have, if you're close to that location, attractions, if you have a pool, indoor pool, balcony, right? Are you really optimizing that content, and do you have that into your SEO strategy, right? And or digital marketing tactic to go against.
When you're building a hotel, that's really good, because the question is, should we put a pool in? Well, if you're building a hotel in Boston, I think you got your answer, because the number one thing people are looking for are pools.
Right. Yeah. Check that out. Colleen says, I love the accent. Hey, Colleen, it's a New York accent. Thank you.
Put in Long Beach. I want to see what Long Beach says.
Yeah, do that, Dave.
Since the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. Colleen wants to know, while we're waiting for that, do you always stand at your computer? Do you have the, because I do it for all the shows, and I only sit down for a couple hours a day. How about, what's your strategy there, Cesar?
Same here. I try to stand, here I have a standing desk at home too. I try to stand as much as I can, because you spend so much time at work.
Yep.
But sometimes I sit as well, but I try to keep moving.
For me, it's around 3 o'clock.
You're in the office? You're in the office?
Yes, sir. Yeah, lonely here today. Not a lot of people.
There?
People are in the office on a typical day, percentage-wise? 5%, 1%?
That would be my guess. I could be off, but I think right now 5 to 10% would be a good guess. I think even before pre-COVID, right, we're never really optimizing just because of the travel, right? So you always have people traveling. So, but I think now it's getting more and more. Every day that I come here, you see more and more people coming back.
So when people come in, do you look at them and go, "What are you doing in my office?"
Yeah, look, wow, another human being, right? And that's why I have this.
Do you go in every
tag here? So have
That gets you in and out.
Do you go in every day?
No, sir. I come probably once or twice a week. Just when my wife gets tired of me, she says, "Okay, Cesar, you gotta go."
Yeah. Are you in New York or Atlanta or elsewhere?
Atlanta.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Excellent. I can't wait to come down to Atlanta again, just a couple of weeks for the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. Cesar, we're starting to run low on time, but I did want to ask you, if just for a couple of minutes, share your experiences on being on a board that focuses on diversity at IHG Hotels and Resorts. Why did you join that board? Why is it important to you to be a part of that?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So, yeah, we have a board here in the Americas as well as globally. It's something that's very important, right? Near and dear for us as a company, personally to me as well, and many here. And it's really twofold, right? We want to make sure that we are committed to a diverse and inclusive, right, workforce and environment, culture where people feel comfortable here. And then also we want to make sure that our business strategies reflect our community and people, and the commitment that we have, not only from diversity and equity and inclusion, and also from a sustainability aspect. So that's something that I got invited to join February by our America's CEO Ali Malouf, and I was honored. And in short, we really do a couple of things, right? We have focused on listen and learn, right? So I want to make sure that we know where we stand, what we can do better. Also advocating. So we do sponsorships for training multicultural programs to train future leaders, and helping them also with our employee resources groups, right? We do a lot of that. And then also act from a local aspect with partnerships and local engagement.
Right. Excellent. Any success stories that you can share right now about the progress that you've been working towards?
Yeah. So right now we have a good chunk of the company that went through bias training, right? I went through, and it was super enlightening. It's amazing to see kind of the bias that we have, and sometimes have hard time acknowledging and seeing how we can educate ourselves and be better.
Right.
Also, we've done surveys, right? So we know where we stand. But then also we have Ascend program, where I'm going to be part here. to mentor, future leaders of multicultural background. But then also being part of our resource group here, where we have, several different groups represented that we highly engage on, at least on a monthly basis to ensure that we're moving the needle.
That's excellent. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I love it. Anthony, anything else on that, or should we give him a chance for a shameless plug?
No, critical. It's time for companies to put their money where their mouth is, and I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So, Cesar, you've been an incredible guest today, and you've earned yourself the right to plug IHG in any way you want, or maybe just share with us your favorite place to eat when you're back home in Brazil. Whatever you'd like.
That's a regular guest. I don't think anybody's not earned their shameless plug, Glenn. Right? Like, you got to, if you give an award, not everybody gets a trophy. You got to mean it.
I know. I know. To be fair, sometimes I was not so sure if you've earned it, but we've let you get away with it. Cesar?
Yeah, no. So listen, thank you for, having me and having the opportunity to highlight IHG. Certainly please check us on our website. We have fantastic brands. I think that we're going to share also a link where you can see a lot of these initiatives that we have from a sustainability and also from press releases and about our brands. We love to do business with anyone out there. But also just like to say thank you, right? I think I just want to thank, all the hospitality professionals. It's been a tough year. Everyone put their best out there. Very tough, challenging times, lean staffings, still delivering results. People taking pay cuts, getting furloughed. So big thank you for everyone, not only IHG, but across the industry. And, it's good to see this better day ahead, and we can move on to greener pastures.
And I'm glad you said that, because in the beginning of this pandemic, everybody forgets. It wasn't like, hey, we're thinking about this. It was like, okay, everybody's furloughed. Okay, everybody, we're shutting down the company. Hey, everybody, we're shutting down the hotels. It wasn't like, generally you kind of think about people's feelings and think about people's resources and, can they feed their family? In the beginning, it's like, bye, everyone, at a lot of hotels. And people need to be thankful for that, because a lot of people went home and cried for a long time and had to go ask, mom and dad or an uncle or a loan or a banker for money through it, when you just immediately shut it down. So whether it be your company or other companies, they had to do what they had to do. Hotels had to do what they had to do. So it's time to really repay that and really appreciate, for all of us, what everybody went through.
Great. Cesar, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. Thank you. Have a great one. Wow,
I disagree with one thing he said.
Uh-oh, hold on. If you're going to disagree with something, we got to bring you back in to defend yourself, Cesar. So.
Everybody worked hard this year. I don't agree with that, Glenn.
You're going to say I didn't work hard this year. Dave didn't work hard this year. All right.
All right, thank you.
All right. This was so great. I learned a lot today, because there's so many intricacies and nuances and stuff that we have to think about. All right, bringing up Gordon's comment, which is the Gordon comment. There we go. Just refer to brand new retired command chief to look into going into hospitality for his second career. Thanks to you all. I had plenty of background to pull from while we were talking. Thank you. I assume command chief is a military position.
Yes. And please, Gordon, get him in touch with me. Have him DM me in any of my social media platforms. And I would love, or send me an email at anthony@anthonymelchiori.com. I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, excellent. All right. So thank you so much for everyone for being here today. Tomorrow, of course, I'm going to say we got another great show. You'll have to tune in and find out. And I'm excited, Anthony, because in June, it looks like we're going to be spending a week on the road doing shows live from Vegas in anticipation of the opening up a brand new resort and seeing another new resort that just opened. How cool is that going to be?
Yeah, there's somebody else opening a hotel in June.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta figure that schedule out.
Oh, God almighty. That's going to be really quick.
I was waiting, Colleen, I was waiting for someone to notice. Thank you for noticing, Colleen.
I was actually relieved he was dressed more casual than the last couple of days. It took the pressure off. I got to tell you. Oh, my goodness. I can hardly deal with it.
Man, he was a great guest. And you know what I like about ISG? Like, most of their executives are like that. They're kind of chill. They're kind of cool. They're kind of people you want to have a drink with. Really like them, except this guy Tim Riley. Yeah, Tim Riley, bald guy. Yeah, I don't know.
Never trust the bald guy. That's what the credo I live by.
Tim Riley is my my brother from a different mother.
All right, everybody, listen, you got to follow us if you're not subscribing right now. And if you haven't checked out our audio feed of these shows, you can find them at Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you prefer to get your podcasts as well. And be sure to follow us on social media. Anthony, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, sir. That guy that's been looking over your shoulder all day, I hope he thinks you did a good job.
Well, he's definitely got great exercise, able to keep his arm up like that for all those hours. We'll see.
And Glenn, all right, so we got to take an opinion poll, and everybody on Monday, let me know. Should Glenn wear short sleeves as a grown man?
We're getting into spring.
Yeah, but it's like a 12-year-old wears like short sleeve shirts.
I don't know. I mean, I think
like short sleeve, like college shirts. Really, I haven't worn shirts since like I don't know, ever.
I know. I do want to say this though. I'd like to hear your opinions. As long as you guys agree with me, this is the way to go. I happen to actually taking some of my long sleeve shirts to the dry cleaners because it's been way too long. They actually said to me, "Take us, please."
They agree with me. They all say no, it's fine. And also, our producer, don't forget to plug the adapters. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Adapters, or as they was like, I loved Revenge of the Nerds so much, but then you look back on it and there's so much inappropriate stuff in there that wouldn't stand for 2021. But I did like it back in 1986. Get the book, The Adapters. Sean Worker, me, little old Glenn Hausman. Figure it out. Go to theadapters.net. There's lots of great video components on there as well, beyond the book QR codes in there to help you do it. Buy the adapters right now on Amazon.com. Big thanks to Jane Kwang for creating this awesome graphic and showing us she could do something that we are unable to do. Anthony, any final words, sir?
No, thank you, Jane. I texted her or emailed her, and she thanked me, and I thanked her. And so let's take us out of here, buddy.
All right, everybody, have a great day. And remember, you've only got one life, so blaze on and
take care of yourself. Or be kind to yourself.